All right, Dominus Spark, Blazing Dominion. I believe this is the last card of the set. I believe this is the last and final reveal of Blazing Dominion. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I was expecting this to be kind of like a pack filler because that's what's been happening in recent sets. They've like announced like a couple of weird cards right at the end. I don't think it's gonna be the case because it is a Dominus trap. Those, at least, I mean, the worst Dominus trap is like Dominus Spiral, and even that has potential, right? So yeah. Dominus Spark, normal trap card. You can only activate one card with this card name per turn. During the turn, your opponent activated a monster effect. In hand or grave, you can activate this card from your hand. Okay, relatively easy activation condition. Target a monster your opponent controls, banish it. Then, if you have no traps in your grave, they can special summon a monster from their hand. If you activated this card from your hand, you cannot activate the effects of Earth, Water, Fire, and Wind for the rest of this. Ooh, okay. So this is the opposite of Dominus Spiral. It locks you out of 4 attributes, but the effect is also significantly better than Dominus Spiral in 2 ways, right? Instead of bouncing a monster, you're banishing it, which is a stronger form of removal. And instead of letting the opponent summon a monster from the graveyard, which I believe is what Dominus Spiral does, it lets them summon one from hand, which is usually worse, I would say, for your opponent. Because they're losing a card in the process. If they do decide to use the extender basically from hand, they lose a card in hand, which, you know, this card is good. I mean, the thing is, like, you always have to evaluate these from different angles, right? The one angle is just like the way cards like Dominus Purge and Dominus Impulse are being used right now, just like as a quote-unquote generic hand trap that can make its way into some decks. Like, for example, this card could make its way into any deck that works with just lights, just darks, or lights and darks. Examples: Yummy could play this, Fiendsmith could play this, Malice could also play this, I guess. As long as you're fine with just light or dark, you could play this card, and you could also play it with Dominus Purge or Dominus Impulse, depending on which of the 2 attributes you need, right? Which is strong. It is a strong card for sure. It's better than Dominus Spiral. It's better than Dominus Spiral, and Dominus Spiral is already a pretty decent card, so I could definitely see this card seeing play 100%. It is a little format dependent, of course, and Earth, Water, Fire, and Wind basically locks you out of most non-engine for the rest of the game. It is kind of cool that if you're playing this in a light deck, let's say Yummy, that it doesn't lock you out of cards like Typhon and SP Little Knight. I think that's one of the best things about this card. It locks you out of like Ash Blossom and stuff, and then vice versa in a Dominus, let's say you play this in a deck that uses Dominus Impulse like Malice, it doesn't lock you out of Nibiru, which is also big, right? If your opponent, you know, if they see a Dominus Impulse, they always know, okay, I can't get nibbed anymore, so I can go in. This card does not have that drawback. So that's one way to look at this card, just like as a generically useful hand trap, which is definitely going to be a way this card could see play, and probably will in certain decks. Like I probably would consider playing this card in Yummy right now, or Malice or whatever. Like, it's definitely a decent card. The other thing that this does is the more Dominus cards they print, the closer we get to like a deck that can just play like all of them together and function in like a really weird and unique way, like a what is that archetype that kind of does, like Phantasm Spiral, where you just play like a bunch of Dominus traps. Like, people have already tried playing cards like Dominus Purge and Impulse together in like Odeon, and like the more Dominus cards you add to it, the better that concept becomes, and this card is a pretty strong addition to that, you know? Like, you throw in Songs of the Dominators as well, which has the drawback of not being able to use other hand traps, but if all the other hand traps are actually traps, then you can use them, and they have great synergy with Songs of the Dominators, because you can, like, if you have multiple trap hand traps together, they all become stronger, right? This one is straight up, if you have Imperm before this, or Purge, or Impulse, or anything else, it's a really good removal spell. Trap, rather. It's a really good removal trap if you have a trap in the graveyard, because they don't even get to summon something from hand. So it's a really good card in that concept where you play a lot of trap cards. So interesting card for sure, and a lot stronger than what I was expecting from the last card of the set. I was kind of like expecting a pack filler kind of whatever card, but it's a lot stronger than that, let's say the least. It's a lot stronger than that. But yeah, I guess it's interesting to think about, like, no, I could 100% see playing this, because it's also, I'm just now thinking about this. It's a third trap. It's a third Dominus card that goes well with the package of Purge, Songs of the Dominators, plus this, right? In, for example, Yummy, right? Because people have played Purge with Songs of the Dominators in Yummy. This is just like a free addition to that deck, which is really good because all of the Dominus cards, of course, get better when you have multiple of them. And previously, like, you couldn't really play a second Dominus trap in Yummy because Dominus Flash locks you out of lights, so you obviously can't do that, and Dominus Impulse is the same problem, right? So, like, you couldn't do this in a deck like Yummy, where you played Songs and 2 Dominus cards. Now you can, which I think that's a big deal, actually. The more I think about it, I think there is actually a lot of potential here to basically construct a completely new non-engine lineup for a deck, right? Where you play Imperm, Purge, or Impulse, Songs of the Dominators, and this, which is a total of 12 hand traps, which gives you a relatively decent chance to draw 2 of them together, which in a lot of cases gives you bonuses, right? Like if you Impulse first and then Spark, they don't get the extension. If you Spark first, then Impulse, then they don't get you get to destroy the card. And in the best case scenario, you use Spark or Impulse first, then use Songs, and then Songs searches you the one you haven't used yet for further disruption, right? So basically drawing 2 of those will be 3 disruptions if Songs of the Dominators is part of it. That's big. That's big. And of course, locking you out of 4 attributes, because the 2 attributes that are left are arguably the 2 most powerful attributes in Yu-Gi-Oh! Light and Dark. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense, but still a very, very strong card.